Oh, the feels. Hello once again, watchers of Good TV. My name is Nick Pell, and this is once again coming from my college dorm room. Now today I'm going to be talking about the show Red Band Society. This is a show that's just had its season or possibly series finale yesterday, last night, and so I'm going to talk about it. I will be covering the end of the season at the end of this video, so if you have finished Red Band Society and want to hear my thoughts on the ending and how the season slash series concluded, be sure to check that out. So Red Band Society is one of those shows which is very interesting because it's very unique. A lot of medical-y shows focus more on the doctors in the hospital rather than the patients, and this is the first show that I've seen which focuses on the patients instead. And it does that very, very well. There is a lot of characters in the show, and I'm going to go through a lot of them, so bear with me. I'm going to talk about each character as I go and how they kind of evolved throughout the course of the season, or didn't evolve in some cases. First up is Charlie Rowe. He plays Leo. Leo is kind of the head of this group of kids who all live in this hospital together. He's been there for a while. He's like I said, he's the leader of this group. He has cancer though. He lost his leg because of it, and a lot of the show deals with him recovering both from the cancer and also coming to accept the fact that he will probably never walk the same way again. He will never play professional soccer. He will never do a lot of the things that he wanted to do with his life, and so a lot of the season really deals with that and showing that this fearless leader who is building everyone up also has his own issues and needs to deal with them. And I'm glad that they didn't just hide that away until like the season finale or something. I'm glad that they dealt with it very, very quickly and easily. We saw Leo be reckless a few times as well. Nolan Sotelo, he plays Jordy. He is the new guy in this hospital, and he shows up in the beginning of the season, and he has come on his own. He has no parents or grandparents or guardians with him, and he has seeked out this Dr. McAndrews, who's a character I'll get to, and he wants the surgery. He has cancer, and he knows that this is the best way to deal with it. And so Jordy's a very interesting character because he creates a love triangle, which happened throughout the course of the season between him, Leo, and Emma, another character I'll get to. And so seeing them kind of bicker back and forth between each other, him and Leo, did get a little bit old after the first couple times, because it kept going very back and forth for a lot of the show, and so that was a little bit frustrating. I did like the fact that Jordy did eventually come into his own as a human being and kind of try to become an adult and support himself instead of just kind of being the victim. Zoe Levin plays Kara. She is kind of the bitch cheerleader, and she is introduced as a cheerleader who is a terrible human being, and she has an enlarged heart, and so she needs a new one. So it's kind of fun for the show to have a character who's very heartless but needs a new heart in order to live. It's kind of a fun way that the show went about doing that character, and she does have probably the most transformation of any character on the course of the show, because she does, by the end of the season, kind of spoilers I guess, she goes from being this terrible human being to someone who is, if anything, trying to change. And you do see this change occur throughout the course of the show because she believes that she has to earn the new heart that she's trying to get. Her reactions with the other characters on the show is kind of fun to watch as well, because she at first starts out thinking that she is better than everyone and that she doesn't really belong here and she'll only be here for a little bit, and then she comes to see these people as friends and confidants, and they help to change her as well, I think. Sarah Bravo plays Emma, and she is someone who is anorexic, and so she is an extremely smart, capable human being, but she doesn't eat, and so she's probably the toughest character to watch in this show, at least for me personally, just because you get to see kind of the psychological aspects of why she doesn't want to do this, and you see her struggling with it throughout the course of the show as she is faced with a lot of pressure from people, including her parents and her friends, trying to get her to eat food and be a normal human being. And so it's kind of interesting to see her transformation, especially in the mid-season finale. We get to see this kind of come into fruition a lot of the time. Emma's also the key in the love triangle between Leo and Jordy, which I thought the love triangle, it did its job, but it seemed a little bit drawn out, in my opinion. I would have liked to see it kind of maybe contained to 1 or 2 episodes and then kind of gone after that. Next up is Astro. He plays Dash, but he is a person with cystic fibrosis, I think I said that right, and so he has a lung issue, he has trouble breathing, and so he's kind of the cooler person of the show, and he's someone who I really enjoyed watching. He's much more mellow than a lot of the other characters. He is also the character that doesn't really change a lot in terms of character development. He has certain episodes where he's kind of focused, but he doesn't really go through any significant changes like Kara or Jordy or Leo. I would have liked to see a little bit more, and maybe if the show gets a second season, they'll focus more on that. And then the last child of the show is Griffin Gluck, who plays Charlie. Charlie is a person who is in a coma for a large portion of the season. He shows up in a coma, and then throughout the season he gradually recovers and gets better. And this is the way that they use kind of this in-between zone for the show, because every time a character goes into surgery or is in kind of a life or death type of state, they encounter Charlie, and because he's also in this kind of nether region where he just kind of lives, and he helps these people survive and recover, and it's kind of a neat thing that they play on. They continue to use this realm even after Charlie has woken up, so it's kind of cool to see the use of this aspect, and kind of playing on the idea that people can encounter other people in this realm when they're under the same course of distress. And now the doctors, I'll kind of get through this kind of quickly. Octavia Spencer, she plays Nurse Jackson. She's the only character that I really actually recognized from this cast of characters. I don't know where I recognized her from, but she plays kind of the strict nurse who's also got a heart of gold, because she cares about these kids a lot, but you can tell that she kind of has to be a badass as well. She's also a very, very cool character, because she's the one who a lot of kids go to for help and advice, and she's the voice of wisdom, so to speak. David Bell plays Dr. McAndrews. He is the surgeon who's kind of the head of the precinct or the hospital. He does a fine job, I thought. He was an interesting character. He kind of gets some character development and some backstory to him, especially when his ex-wife shows up. And then he also kind of does some flirtations with Brittany, played by Rebecca Burtonhouse. And these two characters kind of interact with each other quite a lot, and it's kind of fun to see them play their scenes with each other, so to speak. Brittany as a character is a very fresh nurse. She has come straight out of med school, I think, and she has this new job, and so she's very new to the scene. But like Nurse Jackson, she is very caring of the people around her, and she just wants to make the place better and the children feel better. And then Wilson Cruz as Kenji, he has probably the least presence on the show of any character, which kind of was disappointing, because we have all these other characters that are the focus, and he's just kind of there. He has some funny quips, and it's fun to see him react to other characters and be in scenes, but he's not really as important as a lot of these other people are. So, those are the main characters of the show. There are quite a lot, and thank you if you stuck around for that whole spiel. But one thing that I did like about these characters is how much diversity they had among them. No character was the same as any other character, and that was really good. We had the hard ass, we had the leader, we had the victim, we had the scared person, we had the terrible human being. We had a bunch of these people who are very different, but they're also very close friends, and I thought that that show did a fantastic job emphasizing that in this regard. And it also deals with their backstories a lot, not necessarily through flashbacks, but through just them telling what their lives were like before they were in this hospital. And it's kind of cool to see that be shown to us as well, instead of just, oh, we're here, we know nothing about their lives before this. And then I'm no medical person at all, but it seemed like they did a very reasonable job at depicting these illnesses in a realistic light in terms of what actual people would go through if they were in a facility like this with these types of diseases. I thought that it worked well, and it was accurate as far as I could tell. The only real cons I can think of for the show is kind of the relationships that they go through. None of them really seem necessary. Emma and Leo had this thing before the show starts, and so that's kind of dealt with, and then Jory's brought in, and that's experienced. McAndrews has a thing with Brittany and also with his ex-wife, and that's kind of, none of it really seemed necessary to me. Like, it was fun to watch, and it was kind of neat to see, but it ultimately wasn't really required for a show like this. And then, if anything, the show is very emotional. There's a lot of scenes where I was teary-eyed, and it really plays on those heartstrings a lot of the time in this show because it's very passionate and emotional, and you don't know if any of these characters are going to survive by the season finale, and so it's really interesting to see that as well. From here, I'm going to jump into the last bits of the season, so just kind of general thoughts on Red Band Society as it is. I really did enjoy the show. I don't know how they would do a second season, which I'll kind of touch on later, but if we get to the second season, I'll definitely watch it, because I did enjoy the show. I think it did everything that it needed to in its 13-episode run, and I had a good time. Jumping into the season finale-esque parts now. First thing that I really have to applaud the show on with its season finale / series finale is that it really did make it kind of seem like a series finale. So I don't know if they did reshoots or any sort of special thing to kind of accommodate this once they found out that they were most likely going to be canceled. But by the end of the show, it really did seem like they were aiming for a series finale. Not every story, not every person used the hospital, but it seemed like enough stuff was wrapped up, like Charlie leaving, and then Kara getting her new heart. She's probably going to be gone soon as well. And it seems like they were kind of rotating out a lot of characters to kind of introduce a new person at the very end. But the show made it kind of seem like everyone was either going to die or be gone in a very short amount of time. And so it was kind of a neat thing to see that the show did. It didn't really have a huge cliffhanger, which was really nice, and I thought it was dealt with in a very nice way in that regard. One thing that I really did like is the Kara Hunter scenes, because this was the penultimate episode, and I probably would have originally disliked this, but I found it to be really... I found that it worked really well, because you get to see Kara, who's very hesitant about taking Hunter's heart after he's dead, and we get to see him kind of convince her from beyond the grave to accept his heart and live for him and live her life to the fullest. And I thought that all of their scenes in the penultimate episode worked really well. It was us seeing what would have made Kara really happy in the life that she wished she could have had. And it was very Fault in Our Stars-esque to some degree as well. I liked that bit of the last couple episodes. One major thing which happens is Charlie speaks. At the very end of the season finale, he actually speaks. We didn't know if he was going to speak. His recovery in these last episodes is a lot, because he starts to have motion control, and then he speaks, and then apparently he's fine after that, because in the car he's like just moving his body as he normally would. And so I don't know if the song just snapped him out of it. Maybe music therapy is like the key to everything. But again, it was a nice wrap up to this show, because it kind of concluded Charlie's thing, because he was kind of the central thing which kind of tied this season together, because he was the voiceover. So I don't know how they would do the second season without him there, unless he gets another car accident and gets in another coma, but that'd be kind of dark. And the last things, Kara and Emma get back together with their respective moms. Emma and her mom kind of mending ties was a little bit of a stretch, and it seemed a little bit rushed to me, but the way that they did it worked. I thought it just seemed a little bit quick and unrealistic to that degree. Kara and her mom, they were kind of mending ties throughout the whole show, so them kind of becoming a unit again made sense to me. The only thing about this season finale bit that I didn't really like was Astro, again, with the relationships, his bringing on of this girlfriend that he's had for a year. It seemed like it was not necessary at all. Like, it served a purpose in that she helped to get Leo out of his slump, but anybody could have ended up doing that. Her presence seemed really unnecessary to me, and it seemed like they were probably going to have plans for her if the show got more episodes or another season, but as it is, it didn't really have a reason for being there, I didn't think. Those are my thoughts on the season finale. I thought it wrapped up fine, and it left us with really no real big open questions. We could ask what happens to all these characters, but it kind of seems to imply more or less what happens to them. I'm sure like other bad things would happen if the show keeps going, but they could also just continue to rotate out the characters and get a new Red Band Society every season. So, I don't know. Those are my thoughts on Red Band Society's Season 1 / series. So, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you like Red Band Society as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Once again, if you so choose, I'd appreciate it immensely. And as always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on watching.